Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Ginger Pretzel Mama from the Am I Overreacting subreddit, and it says, Am I overreacting? Mother-in-law says I'm ruining the weird photos she tried to sneak of my new baby. Need to get some feedback on this because it's driving me crazy. My 37 female family has been staying with my husband's 36 male parents, 59 female and 59 male for a week. And we'll be at their home for another week before we have to head home to get the kids ready for back to school. My mother-in-law and I don't necessarily get along, but she's been trying to play nice since I gave birth to our 4-year-old, a boy, 4 months ago. However, I suppose the nice act has ended because she's been stirring the pot and pushing my buttons since we got to their house, rummaging through my clothes, whining that I should bottle feed instead of nursing so she has a chance to feed her baby. The works. I've been biting my tongue because my husband loves his family, and this is some of the only times we get to see his siblings. But at the end of this week, mother-in-law storms downstairs while we're eating breakfast, and the kids are in the yard playing, claiming we needed to talk. I go through a mental checklist to try and figure out which one of her household rules I've broken, or how I've managed to piss her off this time, when she slaps her phone down on the counter and begins scrolling through photos that are all of me and the baby. Photos she apparently took while I wasn't paying attention, as most of them are blurry or from strange angles. Down low, as though she's angled her phone up while it was in her lap. One of them is taken through a crack in the door to Hubs and I's bedroom. Ugh. I ask mother-in-law what her problem is and why she's taking photos of me and the baby like a lunatic instead of just asking for my help with taking photos I'd approve of. I don't want my infant son's face plastered all over social media. I cover it with emojis in my Facebook pictures. She complains that she doesn't want to put those stupid pictures all over his face, and that I won't put him down long enough for her to get a photo of him by himself. He's been contact napping and I wear him for most of the day. And she can't post the photos she took because I'm huge and ruining them by looking ridiculous. For context, I'm definitely on the heavier side. 5'3" and 230 pounds, and because of half these photos are from a weird low angle, I have a prominent double chin, and baby is usually pressed up against me either in my arms or his wrap, so the photos are pretty much just unflattering pictures of me, with baby's head and maybe an arm or leg visible. I tell her that I'm not going to entertain this behavior, and since she decided to approach the supposed problem like this, she can work with what she's already got, but she's definitely not getting a solo photo up with my baby now. Hubby is understanding and supports my decision, even getting in the way when he sees mother-in-law trying to sneakily take more photos or distracting her so I can leave the room. But some people think I'm blowing this out of proportion. Father-in-law says mother-in-law has a right to take photos of her grandchild, and it's not her fault that I'm insecure about how fat I am. Hubby's twin sister is also being dismissive because she's always been catty about weight. Why are you acting so insulted like it's the first time? Even my sister, when I called and complained about this, acted like I was making mountains out of molehills. She was like this 60 pounds ago. Why is it suddenly a big deal again? No one will listen to me when I insist that I don't care about her comments on my weight. I care that she's sneaking around taking photos like a stalker because she doesn't respect me enough to ask my permission to take photos of my baby. She doesn't want to have to follow my rules about covering his face and can't wrench him out of my arms to get pictures of him. So she's been acting like a creep instead. I'm nursing him in one of those photos. This is weird, right? Am I crazy? Absolutely not overreacting. This is weird ass behavior that's crossing lines all over the place. You know, the weight comments themselves are nasty as hell. But like you said, you're spot on that the real issue is the stalker level photo taking. Taking pictures through cracks in the bedroom door. That freaked me out. Sneaking shots while you're nursing. You know, that's not wanting memories. That's just violating your own privacy. And of course, we always see later on the post, you know, that's just how she is. How can anyone from the outside hear that there's someone sneaking photos through the cracks in the door while you're nursing or whatever you're doing in your bedroom And they're like, oh, don't worry, that's just how she is. Just always, she's always taking snaps through cracks in the door like that. Don't let anyone gaslight you to make you think that this is normal grandparent behavior. Most people will come up to you and go, oh, do you mind if I get a photo of the baby solo or something along those lines? And if you said, oh, can you not post it on social media though? Of course, absolutely not. I'll just use it to put in a frame and put on my fireplace or whatever. It's just basic levels of respect we're talking about here. And lastly, get yourself out of that house, go home, don't stay there for another week. You don't deserve to be treated like that. A throwaway account says, not overreacting. I'd report her pics on social media with your baby and say that it's inappropriate child content or something, because the pics look like they've been taken stealthily. It kind of works in your favor, lol. I'm sorry people aren't respecting your wishes, but it's great that your husband is and he seems to be trying to help. Also, side note, you're allowed to be annoyed at somebody body shaming you and ask them to stop. I hate how older generations think they're allowed a pass for things like racism, sexism, etc. Opie says, I didn't even think about reporting her photos. If they manage to pop up on her Facebook, I'll definitely do that to get them taken down. I've told her to mind her business about my body, especially in front of my children, but she's nosy and can't help but make comments. So long as they're just to me or to my husband in private, I can at least let them roll off. She's been somewhat better about keeping her mouth shut while the older kids are around. Another commenter says, what if your husband told her directly to cut the crap? That'd be the most logical and clear way to resolve the situation. Obviously, she doesn't hear your words, which is BS. I don't know if I could stand another week of name-calling, disrespect, and flagrant flouting of reasonable rules, or otherwise you are the parent I have set, or my husband and I have implemented. The car, train, or airport would already be looking delicious. Why do I have to get this sweet mother-in-law who lives a world away? It seems there's a direct correlation between problematic behavior and proximity, or maybe it's the distance makes them seem tolerable. Joking. My husband's mum is a treasure, and if we were having kids, she'd be the one I'd want there. Even over my own mum, which is saying something. The picture taken is freaking bizarre and her comments are shitty. I'd have your husband run more strict interference so the week remaining under that Harridan's roof are less horrible for you. Being mum of a newborn is challenging enough, as you are more than well aware by now. She's a weirdo, and boy, won't she be shocked when you get home and you're no contact or very, very, very low contact. And I don't see how a person could be a good grandparent if they don't respect their grandchildren's parents. It's all part and parcel. Best to you. Opie responded saying, husband has told her to knock it off, and she doesn't listen to him either. I feel lucky to be married to a man with a spine and not an eager to please mama's boy. But watching her bulldoze him when he tries to put his foot down irks me. Glad your mother-in-law's a delight. Makes up for the rest of us who have to deal with batshit crazy and beyond. I'm planning on skipping out on the rest of this lovely vacation and taking my baby with me. But thank you for the advice and the well wishes. We already spend way more time with my family than his, but that ratio might be tipping even further in my folks' favor now. Hot Atmosphere says don't stay there. Don't let your husband take the kids there. Why are you putting yourself through this? Your kids are learning that behaving like that is okay. That calling their mother fat is okay. That ignoring someone's boundaries is okay. I'm no longer in contact with my mother due to similar behavior. You really shouldn't be in contact with his. Opie says husband's siblings live far away, and these occasional visits to mother-in-law and father-in-law's place are some of the only times he gets to see them. So I put up with it to give him his family time. The kids don't really know what's going on. They were playing outside when this happened, though I'm sure my oldest two can tell something's off. Husband and I are discussing that he might be going to the next visit solo. Someone says to the OP, just leave. And Opie says, we took my husband's car on the trip here because it had enough space to fit all of us. And he and the kids will probably want to stay. Him for his siblings and the kids because mother-in-law and father-in-law have a bigger pool than ours at home. So I can't just drive back by myself with a baby. If I ever do agree to come on one of these trips again, I'll definitely be traveling separately in my car, or we're staying in a hotel so I can at least escape the crazy. So before the update, OP edited the post and just said, thank you guys for the proof that I'm not crazy. I honestly didn't even think about going home early. I was fully prepared to just grit my teeth for the rest of this visit because we only took one car on the drive up here. I'm packing my and my son's things, and when my husband gets back from fishing with his dad and his brother, I'm asking him if he can drive me and the baby back home. I'll be able to have peace of mind and have the house to myself for a few days so I can get things in order before the kids have to go back to school. Second edit, husband is back. They're home from fishing early because brother-in-law lost his pole, and they forgot to bring any spares. He and I have been texting since he left early this morning, and he's taken the baby and I home. And we're planning on having a conversation about what time spent with his folks will look like going forward on the drive back. Thank you all for the advice, giving me the gumption to leave early, and keeping me company with your comments while I packed my stuff. I know this didn't actually happen in the story, but OP's husband out fishing and OP staying back while packing her stuff and, talking to Reddit or whatever. I just still had the feeling like mother-in-law watching through the crack in the door thinking, no, you don't. But, a very Reddit situation made up in my head there. My mind's a wild place. Anyway, OP does come in with an update and says, I wasn't going to update because I got home with a baby and settled in and thought nothing of it. Just communicated with my husband and my 14-year-old through texts and phone calls while they were gone. But problems started to follow pretty soon after. After my husband returned to his parents' house without the baby and I, his mother huffed and started grumbling about how dramatic I am, how possessive I am of her baby, how I was ruining this trip for everyone. Sister-in-law began winding her up, talking about how I didn't want anyone else to build a relationship with the baby. Husband told both of them to mind their business and get a grip, mentioning to mother-in-law that he needed to have a serious talk with her once the kids left with brother-in-law for lunch. Mother-in-law rolled her eyes and walked off. They have a talk and husband insists to mother-in-law and father-in-law that they can't expect me to roll over and let them stomp all over my limits just because they want access to our baby. That we are the final say in what happens with our children, and if they can't get on board with that, they can forget about seeing them, especially not unsupervised. He told mother-in-law that her sneaking around acting like that my word meant nothing was childish and proved that she wasn't trustworthy. And he told both of them to keep their opinions about my weight to themselves. This starts what husband told me later was a practically 2 to 3 hour argument that only stopped because brother-in-law came back with the kids and husband refused to discuss this in front of them. Mother-in-law pulling out crocodile tears and asking why he won't defend her, insisting that I'm trying to ruin their relationship. Husband has never been close with his mother, and that she just wants to show off her baby to her friends and the extended family. Husband responds that if she really wanted to take pictures of the baby, all she had to do was ask for help so he or I could cover the baby's face. Mother-in-law and father-in-law argue that they shouldn't have to ask permission. They're grown adults and can do as they please in their own house. Husband reminds them that that is our baby, not theirs, and since they felt so strongly, that is why I removed myself from the situation. And if they wanted to see my baby, they could do it at our house, where they have to follow our rules. This went back and forth, with mother-in-law eventually shouting and stomping her feet until brother-in-law returned. For the rest of the day, mother-in-law was grumbling under her breath and practically ignoring our older children, even as my 5-year-old was clamoring for her attention. Husband paid her no mind and spent the evening playing board games with the kids and brother-in-law, while sister-in-law and his mother sulked in the kitchen. Fast forward to last night. Husband was having a couple of beers with his brother while mother-in-law and sister-in-law have wine in the kitchen. Father-in-law had gone to bed early and the kids were asleep. Husband hears mother-in-law and sister-in-law giggling to each other, and while casually checking his phone, he sees that mother-in-law has posted all of the photos she took of me on her Facebook page, captioning them with, "My name won't let me see my grandson, so you'll have to excuse her hogging the frame." In the comments of her post, she was chatting with her sisters about me. Derogatory comments on my hair, as my icon and username reflects, I'm a natural redhead, shaming me for my selfishness and obviously comments on my body. Husband flips his shit, demanding that mother-in-law take the photos down or take her phone from her and do it himself. Apparently there were more photos than even the ones we saw at first, and in several of them my top is fully open, nursing bra unclipped. Mother-in-law is unaware husband is serious and tries teasing him, as she thought he wasn't ashamed of being married to a fat woman. Husband rushes into the kitchen and snatches mother-in-law's phone out of her hands after a brief scuffle, deleting the photos from mother-in-law's Facebook and then taking them off her phone altogether, before throwing her phone down on the counter and telling her that he was leaving first thing in the morning. Mother-in-law scowls and starts shouting that it isn't fair he's taking my side. He responded that he loves me, that it isn't my side versus hers, it's our side versus hers. I'm pretty out of the loop about all of this at this point. I've been cleaning the house, looking after the baby, and dealing with the cold I was apparently incubating for the first week of our visit. So I get a call from the hubs while I'm doing laundry in the basement. He's in his car trying to keep himself calm, but says he'll be home early with the kids in the morning, and that he wanted to have a discussion with me about our plans moving forward. He tells me what happened, I calm him down, and we both head to bed. Fast forward to this morning and I get up early with the baby to have breakfast and coffee waiting. Husband arrives with 14, 10 and 5 at about 6 a.m. We have breakfast and then the kids peel off to do their own thing. Our daughters leave for their friends' houses, and the 5-year-old goes into the basement den to watch cartoons on the big TV. Hubs and I talk, and he says he's done with that annual visit to his parents' place, and that he's planning to have some one-on-one time with his brother a few times a year instead. We go over a plan of action in terms of much stricter boundaries, deciding that the kids won't be going to the in-laws' house anymore. And while the in-laws visit us at our house, if they act out, they'll be kicked out. Mother-in-law's been blowing up his phone since he left, but he's ignoring her for the time being and helping me with cleaning. He's also sheepishly admitted that as disrespectful and frustrating as mother-in-law's creepy photos were, they'd given him a new appreciation for my round face. I picked a winner, y'all. Truly. Bloody hell, when I got to that part in the story where it said that she was posting the photos online, Opie's nursing photos as well, wouldn't that be potentially illegal in some places? Obviously, it depends on location and all that sort of stuff. But at the pause of recording at that moment, I was just like, no contact. I was talking to myself, I was going, no contact, absolutely no contact. That is awful. But I'm glad the husband stood up in that moment and physically took that phone and deleted everything. No more excuses for her behavior, no more but she's family or that's just how she is nonsense. And absolutely cancel that annual family visit. I mean, I'm not even sure I'd want her in your house anymore. You said that she can visit on your rules, which is one thing, that's a good thing. But at the same time, I wouldn't want her in your house. Let's face it, she doesn't respect you. She's willing to put your private photos online to try and shame you. She doesn't respect you. Why would you want her in your house? It's that simple, really. Got no time for that nonsense. But Opie was also talking a lot in the comments saying if they do come around, there'll be a no phone policy. That she's just currently obsessed with baby because he's all new and shiny, etc. And that they're just a very childish couple in general. And just confirming to some commenters that her husband has been incredibly supportive during this time. It's one of those ones that I think there will be future updates on that particular story, because with a mother-in-law like that, I don't think they're just going to back down. They think they're too right, especially with everyone else backing them up saying, oh no, you know, it's just how she is, etc. It just enables them to keep doing what they're doing. The fact that after all the initial part went down, she left because of what was going on. She didn't take a step back and think, oh yeah, maybe my behavior was a bit out of line, right? She went to the kitchen with sister-in-law, gossiping behind her back, talking shit, and then posted these photos online to try and shame OP. You know, there's no change in that anytime soon, right? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Consideration Cool 140 from the True Off My Chest subreddit and says, my wedding is on the 25th, but my now fiance says he isn't sure if we should get married. My wedding is supposed to happen 20 days from now. However, my fiance says he is not sure if he can go through with it. I, female 28, have tried to help him, male 30, figure out if he's just having normal pre-wedding nerves or cold feet, but he says he doesn't know. He swears he's not having an affair or hiding anything from me, but he isn't sure if we should go through with the wedding. We have people coming from all over the province, but he's second-guessing getting married and I'm not even sure what to do. We have been together for 4 years. We have lived together for 2 years and been engaged for over a year. He's never displayed any problems with commitment. I've never had to give him an ultimatums or push him along when it comes to moving forward in our relationship. Up until 8 days ago, he was enthusiastic about our wedding and us looking for a house. We haven't had any other big changes to our lives or any bad news recently, so I don't know where his hesitation is coming from. No family problems either. Each of our families love the other and are excited about the wedding. I love him and this is scaring me because he won't even tell me why he suddenly feels this way. The wedding is supposed to be on the 25th and he's refusing to let me in or help him figure out his feelings. I don't even know what to do now. As they say in Reddit stories like this is a sort of a preview of what your relationship's going to be like even after you're married, after you've made that commitment. 4 years together, refusing to even try and figure out his feelings with you. It's not cold feet. It's just, like emotional abandonment, if you like. You're supposed to be a team, like being able to work out big challenges together, big decisions together, etc. But instead, he's gone completely silent on you now when, you need to be talking about this the most. You're meant to be getting married soon. You can't just leave this silent right up until the day and then make a decision. Something has to happen. Something has to change. A conversation needs to happen. But like I said at the very beginning of this comment, that I'd certainly be side-eyeing it, because if that's how he's going to handle it in the future, what do you make of that? Commenter says, if he won't talk to you or deal with this appropriately, then I think you should appreciate that he is showing you who he really is. If he is unable to be an adult about the issue, he will never be able to deal with the much more difficult and serious issues that come up in married life. You're fortunate to learn this now instead of after you get married. It's time to tell him to get on the phone today and call both sets of your parents and tell them that he is cancelling the wedding because he has decided he is unsure about getting married and doesn't know why. I hope they aren't going to be out of a lot of money. If they are, he needs to reimburse them. And don't you even think about making excuses for him. He's jerked you around long enough. Next, he needs to call each guest and let them know the same thing. These guests are spending time and money. He needs to give them as much advance notice as possible. He also needs to cancel all the vendors and pay for your personal out-of-pocket. This is on him for waiting way too long and not having any kind of explanation. Stop babying him. That time is past. It's time to start mitigating the damages. OP responds saying, just want to clarify that there are no parents to call. Neither of us have any living parents. Also, no one else paid for our wedding. Him and I paid for everything ourselves. Apologies for any confusion. I didn't say anything about our parents or someone else paying for our wedding in my post, so I wanted to clarify. Thank you for replying. And the top commenter says, you do know that marrying someone who feels like this about their upcoming wedding is a terrible idea, right? So, it was 3 months later that OP did come in with an update and says, my update is that I didn't get married. My relationship is over and I'm blocking him and moving out tomorrow. I want to thank everyone who left supportive comments on my last post. They were appreciated. Whenever I, female 28, asked him, male 30, if he thought it was cold feet, did something happen, etc., he always just said he didn't know. We had guests driving from all over the province, so the day after my post I told everyone the wedding was postponed. Fortunately, anyone who isn't local was able to cancel their hotel reservations without penalty, and everyone got a refund from what they bought off our registry. I would have felt horrible if any of our guests had lost money over this. I suggested we go to counselling to figure this out. He agreed, but then on the day of our first appointment, he said he was fine to get married, and when we went to the appointment he told the therapist I overreacted by cancelling the wedding and blamed me for all the money we lost. The venue and all of our vendors had a 30-day cancellation clauses, and he didn't start saying we should get married until after the cancellation deadline. After how he acted at the appointment, I knew I couldn't marry him. He was shocked when I refused to renew our lease together and said I was moving out. I try not to care what anyone thinks, but at least all of our family and friends thinks he was unreasonable and don't blame me. Dead Bedroom Casualty says, cancelling a wedding is expensive. A divorce is more expensive and painful. You did the right thing. Another commenter says, this is what really frosts my cookies. He told the therapist I overreacted, then said about the 30-day cancellation deadline and says, so dude was having cold feet but is now pissed because she rightly cancelled the wedding and they lost money. That makes no sense. What did he expect? That they'd just press on ahead? What an idiot. Vincent Van Get the Fuck Out says, my guess is he wanted her to grovel/go into the marriage feeling insecure and easy to manipulate. Instead, she pulled the badass boss move and now he's got nothing and is down money. Smells like justice. And one more comment says, this can't be it. Something is still wrong. Update me. OP quoted that and says, what do you mean? My relationship with him is over. I've blocked him. I'm moving out and moving on with my life. In quotes, something is still wrong, and then says, how can something be still wrong when our relationship is over? And even if there is something wrong with him, it's no longer my problem. Then quoted, update me saying, there won't be any further updates because my relationship with him is over and he's out of my life as of today. And I did look in OP's comments, see if they mentioned anything about it, because I was like really curious about, I wonder what the therapist said to him when he said that she overreacted to the situation. I mean, if they went in and told the therapist this exact story, 20 days they were going to be getting married, and he just went silent and wasn't talking about his feelings about why he didn't want to get married. But then he goes into this therapy session, all shocked Pikachu face, trying to turn it around on her, saying, oh, you know, she overreacted. Why the hell did she cancel the wedding? Of course I want to get married. You'd have thought the therapist would have said, come on, mate. Come on now. Don't act like a Birkin here. You bloody gave her the silent treatment and said you was unsure if you wanted to get married. Don't come in here giving it all that. Absolutely wild. But what do you guys make of this situation? And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly. And don't forget, there'll be a couple of playlists at the end of the video that you can click on. It will automatically scroll through all those videos for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go,